Hey guys, it's Tim Miller from the Bulwark. Tim Walz was in Nebraska, his birthplace, this weekend for a huge campaign rally where he was really trolling the Trump-Vance ticket.
They're super concerned with our bedrooms. They're super concerned with our exam rooms. They're super concerned about our libraries. And I have to tell you, yeah, when they make decisions about your health care, yes, it's weird, but it's worse than that. It's dangerous.
So let's talk about why Nebraska and take a little look at some of Tim's best hits. All right, so back up here. So there might be, there might be some question about why Tim Walz will be campaigning in Nebraska, not one of the 7 states. Maybe it was just a hometown boy event, and I'm sure that there was a little bit of that. But there actually is a key district in Nebraska for a potential electoral vote map. So let me explain. 2 states, Nebraska and Maine, apportion their electoral votes by congressional district. So you get one for winning the state, but you get one also for winning each district, rather than doing it as a winner take all. Nebraska's 2nd district, which encompasses Omaha, has gone to the Democrats, while the state has gone to the Republicans several times recently. Obviously, Omaha, a bigger metropolis. You have Lincoln, the University of Nebraska, which is also in that district, and so a lot of potential Democratic votes there, a lot of suburban votes. It's represented by a Republican in Congress, Don Bacon, one of the very few moderate Republicans left. So it's also going to be a key House battleground this fall. So, but let me just show you on the map here why this district is so important. It was maybe a little bit more important when Biden was the nominee because of how his map was so tethered to the upper Midwest, as we've talked about in a couple of recent videos. But if you look at that blue wall, so-called blue wall path to victory for the Democrats, you win Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, but you lose the Sun Belt states, Nevada, Arizona, North Carolina, and Georgia. In that instance, you're at 269 electoral votes, okay? You need to win this Nebraska district to get to 270, or else it is a tie and thrown to the House. And this district is a little bit different demographically, despite the fact that it's also in the Midwest. It has a higher percentage of college-educated suburbanites, and obviously there's some diversity. There are Black folks in Omaha, so it's a little different than winning Wisconsin, and so it's important to put some effort into campaigning there. So that's why Nebraska matters. Now, let's take a look at Tim Walz and his event there. He was just dishing the zingers, dishing the old football coach dad jokes left and right. Let's start, though, with him being greeted, getting the hometown welcome, and explaining why Nebraska is so important to him.
Look, I know firsthand about this place. The people in this state are decent people who show kindness, who show generosity. And you know what I also know about this state? Nebraskans don't fear the future. You make the future. And I know it personally. I was born in West Point. I went to elementary school in Valentine, and I graduated from a town of 400 named Butte. I had 24 classmates. Some of them are here today. Folks from that town. And I just want to say this. I don't know what their politics are, but I've known their friendship. I've known their kindness. And when our family was down on the luck, they were there for us. I hope I've done the same for them. I wouldn't trade growing up in that town for anything in the world.
There's a lot of discussion here about on the Veep stakes, right? Mark Kelly in Arizona, Shapiro in Pennsylvania, Whitmer in Michigan. Like, they had these states. Nobody ever really seemed to mention that Tim Walz had this deep Nebraska connection to this one electoral vote that could conceivably be important, depending on how the map shakes out. Just how we're talking about how the map shakes out. One other even spookier, more dystopian potential way that this Nebraska one could matter. Let's say, I've said here several times that if Trump wins Georgia and PA, that's kind of the deal. That's why those two states are so important. Not exactly right. If then Harris won the southwest part of the Sun Belt, so Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, Arizona, it would be Nebraska 2 that would get us back to a tie. So, we're getting into dorky town here, but Nebraska could matter in several different circumstances. Okay, now to the fun part. Tim Walz was just giving Donald Trump and JD Vance the business during this speech. Let's first watch his dig on JD.
Look, folks, in the heartland and in Nebraska and in Minnesota, we don't need a Yale-educated philosophy major backed by billionaire venture capitalists to tell us who we are. We know who we are. We know who our neighbors are.
I love this one in particular, him going after JD and his sugar daddy Peter Thiel after I had to suffer through Peter Thiel and Joe Rogan yesterday. Maybe we'll do a whole separate video on that, but that was a marathon and exposed some of the dark thoughts that really JD has grown out of. A lot of Thiel's ideology is wrapped up and also in misogyny. Not just to do a little brief aside, Thiel got in trouble back when he was in college for a book, his original book that had some pretty misogynist stuff in there. On the Rogan program yesterday, he was talking about how we don't invent things anymore, in part because of the feminization of society. This weird anti-woman mindset is I think part and parcel with Vance's association with these Silicon Valley tech bros. So kind of funny to have Tim Walz, Coach Walz, kind of othering JD and saying, okay, bro, you might have wrote a book about the heartland, but you went to Yale. You became butt buddies with all these Silicon Valley weirdos. Like, you're not like us anymore. All right? Not like us. Lastly, the Trump of it all. And, again, everybody here knows that I'm a little so-so on Tim Walz here. But this is good. This is where he shines. The contrast with Donald Trump. Tim Walz basically demonstrating that he is Nebraska, that he's of Nebraska, in contrast with Donald Trump. And he takes people through an exercise where you imagine Donald Trump participating in, kind of basic Nebraskan tasks.
Donald Trump sees the world a little differently. You think he would understand the importance of Carhenge as a historical relic? The British made a replica of it out of stone. It's so important, so just so we know. Or do you think he would know the joy of tubing and swimming the Niobrara as we do in the summer? And this one's for the gray hairs in this room. You think that guy could understand the pure joy of pre-gaming at sidetracks before a Husker Sooner game? All I can say about that, too, is I'm glad there weren't video cameras around at the time. So we've been there. Look, in Nebraska, you got a slogan here. Nebraska, it's not for everyone. Well, it sure ain't for Donald Trump, I'll tell you that. This guy is the opposite of everything here. Every opportunity he has, he weakens our country to strengthen his own hand. He mocks our laws. He sows chaos and division amongst us. And that's not even counting the time he was president. So look, I want to be clear, because I know where I'm at and I know my family. Many of you can probably remember when Republicans talked about freedom, they meant it. They would have never turned their back on our allies. The traditional Republican Party before Donald Trump contributed much to this state and this great nation. But he's not that.
It is hard to imagine Donald Trump understanding the joy of tubing. I do concur with that, and I like how Walz closes out by trying to make a pitch to this. Again, it's a district that is represented by Republicans, trying to make a pitch to the more libertarian, the more social conservative, the more pro-freedom type college-educated suburban Republicans, and making a direct pitch to them, saying, it's the Harris-Walz ticket that wants to respect their freedom, that loves this country, and it's the Trump-Vance ticket that wants to infringe on it and wants to tear down this country. It's a good contrast. It's smart. And Nebraska, who would have thought? You didn't have Nebraska on your map this weekend, I bet. Tim Walz did. A strong performance and a clear message. All right, we'll be back for more. We'll be monitoring what these guys are up to over the course of the next week. It's convention time. Make sure you're subscribed to the feed. I might be streaming this week during the convention, so make sure to come back and check us out. Peace. Hey, if you like this video and our content, I'd love for you to become a Bulwark Plus subscriber. You get access to bonus podcasts, secret podcasts, and newsletters we put out every day, plus some behind-the-scenes takes that I don't always post on this feed. In addition, you can become part of the Bulwark community. Come over to our Substack and comment and meet other like-minded people. We'd love to have you. Starting today, you can get a free trial at thebulwark.com/free trial. The link is right here on the screen and below in the description. We'd love to have you as part of our community. Come on and give it a free try today.